Sparker Nation, welcome back once again. It's your host, the G-Man. Today we're going to talk about the last team in the NL Central as we continue our 2016 MLB preview. Today we're going to talk about the Milwaukee Brewers. Now, the Brewers had a nice little stretch for a little period of time where they had the potential to be a playoff team. They had the juiced-up Ryan Braun hitting home runs for them. They had Mr. Gomez starting fights, rounding third base. And it all was joyous in Brewerland while Bernie Brewer slid down the slide after the many home runs in their bandbox ballpark. Those days, methinks, are long since past. I do not expect this to be a very good team this year. In fact, I figure them to be a little worse than my Fightin' Phils, which, again, is always a positive thing for me. But let's see how they stack up. Let's see if they're a mix of some of their old veterans that I think they're absolutely going to try to trade, and some young kids that, let's face it, there's no reason not to give them the playing time, can come up and surprise anybody. Starting at the top, batting leadoff, they don't really have one. I guess Scooter Gannett's going to be the guy who leads off on most days. He'll be playing most days at second. He's your scrappy little middle infielder, and I don't mean Craig Biggio. I mean Randy Reddy. Again, I know I'm showing my age here, but he's a guy who'll probably hit you 270, maybe 275, 8 home runs. Can't really run that well, plays a decent second base, but not going to light anybody up. Jonathan Lucroy at one point was an excellent offensive catcher, and maybe he will be again. Last year he was hurt quite a bit. He bats second in this lineup, which kind of limits his RBI production, but he does have some power. He runs really well for a catcher. He'll hit in the high 260s. And he actually has a discerning eye, so he'll be able to walk a little bit. Ryan Braun's still your 3-hitter, and while he's not roided up Braun, and by the way, he's about the worst roid guy outside of Roger Clemens because he was just such a cancerous jerk-off and tried to bring other people down, insisting he was innocent and actually costing people their jobs, etc. But I digress. As a baseball player, he's pretty damn good even without the roids. He's good for 25 and 80, not much more than that for the simple fact they're not going to have a lot of guys on base. He runs pretty well. He's a good defensive player. I think he'll do just fine. Batting fourth, Chris Carter. Swing and miss or a home run. Last year, he hit about 190. He did hit 20 home runs. In Milwaukee, he plays every day. He's absolutely good for 35 bombs. If he can just get up to a 230 average, he will be a power source to reckon with. Not a very good defensive player, but let's face it, first base, you don't necessarily have to be Varishnikov, so I think he'll do fine. The 5-hole, I think they're going to start at Domingo Santana. He's a young guy. Wouldn't strike you as your classic number 5 hitter, but I think he does have enough power and speed combo to bat in that lineup, in that slot. Right now, it looks like they're projecting Aaron Hill to be their starting third baseman. I don't know that I love that because he's well past his prime and he's really more suited as a second baseman. But he's smart. He has had good years in the past. He's a stopgap until they bring up their pride jewel of their minor league farm system. Batting 7, I think they're going to have Jonathan Villar start at shortstop. Again, he's a placeholder. He may move around the infield once the Oswaldo Arcia comes up. Villar has a lot of speed, has never shown the ability to hit. I don't think that's going to change. Last, I guess they'll have Peterson play center field. Again, young guy, not much track record. They're going to give him the opportunity, but you can't expect a lot of great things. This is just not a very good lineup. They have about 3 real threats in the lineup, one of which strikes out constantly in Carter. So I don't know how you put too much stock in their offense being able to score. On the bench, you have guys like Kurt Neuenhuis, decent utility-type outfielder, fourth outfielder, fill-in center if Peterson doesn't cut it, but not going to light anybody's world on fire. 260 hitter, no power, no speed. And then you have Oswaldo Arcia. Oswaldo Arcia is going to be held down in the minor leagues. He's definitely going to stay down until after June, so his clock doesn't start in his arbitration eligibility. I don't know that his bat's ready yet anyway, but his glove certainly is, and eventually they will bring him up, and he's their future. So let's see if he can actually hit at this level. But other than that, their bench doesn't offer much. They have like a Will Middlebrooks, who I always liked when he was in the Boston farm system, but I'm not sure that he's going to light it up too much, or even get that opportunity. I guess he could play third if Aaron Hill falters, but he's more power, no average. So let's see what they can do. You'd think that maybe they could rely on their rotation, but I don't think that's the case. Matt Garza makes a decent amount of money, but that doesn't make Matt Garza number 1. He should be slotted as your number 4 starter. He's your number 1. Things are not going well. Wiley Peralta is your number 2. Again, I think he's more of a 3 starter, but on this team he's a 2. He does have electric stuff. He's hurt quite a bit, and he has a problem finding the strike zone. That's a bad combination, I think. So number 3 is Jimmy Nelson. Jimmy Nelson has high-level potential and had a beginning of the last year that he was fantastic, but I'm not sure that's going to do anything for him long term. I think he's more of a middle-of-the-road guy. Then you have your likes of your Tyler Jungmans and your Zach Davies filling out your 4 or 5 spots. These spots could be filled by 10 different players. They're going to bring people up from the minor league system, let them all get a chance. So I'm not sure it's going to show you too much of what's going on. Not overly impressed. The only thing worse than the rotation is their bullpen. Listen, Will Smith, no, not to get jiggy with it, Will Smith, but just a pitcher, Will Smith, or Jim Jeffress. Either one of those guys might turn out to be a great closer. They might also turn out to be a guy who throws gas on the fire. There's no proven commodity out there. It's a bad combination for a team that has a weak lineup, poor rotation, and bad bullpen. As I look at this team, I think this may be the worst team in baseball. I'm not sure that I'm projecting them that way. So let's say that they're a little bit better than the Braves, who I had at 64 games. Let's say the Brewers win 66 games, compete for that worst spot in the league, and hopefully they have a little bit of love coming from their minor league system as they come up. Let's see if they can make some improvements. That's about it for the 2016 Brewers. Sorry, Brewers fans, I don't have a lot of joyous news to share, but we'll continue with our 2016 MLB preview next week. For me, that's the G-Man, and I am out.